We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Now this morning, all is set for a rerun of the Ashanti Region's Council of State Representative election after the initial exercise was marred with violence. Well, the Electoral Commission, in collaboration with the police, has changed the venue as a security measure. Nana Abuba has more in this report.
The counting of votes in the Council of State election in Ashanti region last week halted after some thugs pounced on the Electoral Commission and tore apart ballot papers and other materials. The Ashanti NPP caucus in Parliament called for enhanced security for the rerun of polls. Vincent Eko Asifua is Tafo MP.
The Ashanti Region Minister is the head of security in Ashanti region. So if we have an election in your zone and the election is not able to come to a conclusion, then it's a cause to worry. And so we signaled that the elections cannot be held at the same venue. We should change it to the Central Police Station, because at that place you have all the men in uniform to be able to protect the sanctity of the election.
Before the election, police met with the candidates, revising protocols for the election. The venue for the election has changed from the Regional Coordinating Council to the Prempeh Assembly Hall. Entourage of candidates have also been limited to 2 each from the 5 accepted for the earlier election. Vehicles are also restricted from entering the venue of the election. JoyNews sources have revealed the electoral register used in the previous election will be maintained, contrary to speculations of a possible change. For JoyNews, Nana Abuba, Kumasi.
Well, it's a good time now to take you to the Ashanti region. We're taking you live to the Prempeh Assembly Hall for updates. Nana Abuba is on that beat. He joins us live with more. Nana, paint a picture for me. What's the security situation as we speak?
Security arrangement here is very tightened here on the ground. Lots of policemen that I'm unable to count at the moment. When you're making your way to the Prempeh Assembly Hall here in Kumasi, on your right, that's behind me, there are about 2 different barricades that whoever is trying to get access to this place will have to go through. The first one, there are some policemen there, and these men are there to ensure that whoever is coming here have some business doing within the Prempeh Assembly Hall and its environs. So that's the first checkpoint. The police ask questions of people trying to come in, and if you are granted permission to go ahead, you meet another barricade, and there's another police checkpoint. So you have to go through another check at that place before the person gets access to where I am now. Even here, this is where the biggest of challenge is. Here is the main entrance of the Prempeh Assembly Hall. Currently, some of the media people, including myself, are outside because we are unable to get accreditation to get access in there. What the police are telling us is that the accreditation that was made available are finished. So some of our colleagues have been able to get access in there. Some of us are still locked outside. They say they are trying to make some arrangement for some of the media who are still yet to get accreditation to get access in there. So those people who are allowed to enter this particular place will need accreditation. So most of the delegates who have made their way here, they go through the register. If your name is found on the register, an accreditation is issued. And there is another police person there who takes picture of whoever has accreditation before you are granted access to the hall itself. And there is another checkpoint in there before you enter the hall and go through the process and cast your ballot. Now, the information that we have now is that about 25 people have been able to go through this process and cast their ballots. Not long ago, the former Minister for Education, Yawose Duchum, was here, and unfortunately, he failed the security checkpoint, the security check here, so he wasn't granted access. There are other members of Parliament who have all been here trying to get access to the hall, but unfortunately, since they do not have accreditation, or they were not accredited, they've all been made to leave the premises. As you can see, there are lots of crowd controlling equipment that have been deployed to this ground. There is a police water cannon here. There are other policemen there who are ready to deal with the crowd if any unfortunate incidents should emerge. Not long ago, one person, one of the supporters who was here to support his candidate, was picked by the police. As you can see behind one of the barricades here, there are a lot of supporters of some of these candidates who are there, and they've been trying to get access. At a point, there was some fracas between these people and the police, and it resulted in the arrest of one of those people. As you can see now, the police have been able to dispel some of these people who were here making noise and trying to get access to the Prempeh Assembly Hall. So far, so good. Security is on top. A lot of police persons have been deployed to this ground to ensure that the crowd is controlled. Nobody with any ill intention gets access to the Prempeh Assembly Hall where the election itself is taking place. Now, the information that we have is that only 25 people have been, out of the 86 people who are supposed to vote here today, have been able to go through the process and cast their ballots. We are hoping that by 5 p.m., that is when the election is supposed to end. By that time, almost all of them, if not all, more than 90% of these people who are supposed to vote in this election would have made their way through the area and cast their ballots. As we continue to report, more of the police vehicles and police personnel continue to arrive here at the venue, and what they are mainly doing is to control the crowd that have come here or have gathered here to witness the election. So unless the person is accredited, you are not allowed to get access to the Prempeh Assembly Hall, and that is what the aspirants in this election yesterday in a meeting with the police here requested for. They wanted enhanced security here at the location to ensure that everything that goes on here is peaceful and very calm, and the process is free, fair, and credible.
And just before I let you go, we're picking information that one of the candidates withdrew from the race even before today. Just give me details about that.
Exactly so. Not yet. Last night, I had a press statement from the camp of Rose Hamilton. I went ahead to do my own checks, and the press statement, and it confirmed that Rose Hamilton had pulled out of the race. But this morning, I got access to the Electoral Commission, asking them if they've been notified, and according to them, they are yet to receive any communication to that effect. So, to the Electoral Commission, all of the candidates are still in the race, but by my own checks and some of the information that I've received from the camp of Rose Hamilton, she has pulled out of the race. This morning, I'm able to confirm that she herself hasn't been to the ground, and her campaign team are also not here to do anything or do any work in regard to her being elected as the Council of State representatives for the Ashanti region.
Thank you, Nana. We'll come back to you and get updates, because you're just telling us that only 25 individuals have been able to cast their ballots, and we're expecting 86 of them. So we'll still be in the Ashanti region, of course, in subsequent bulletins to give you updates on that. Now, it's a good time to take you also to the Northeast region. Ilyas Otango joins us live with more, because we are learning that Saaka Abuba has been elected as the Northeast regional member of the Council of State. Thank you so much, Ilyas, for your time. Just give us updates on that.
The process was very brief. Before journalists could get to the venue, the process has already ended. In fact, it started early at 7, and just about 30 minutes or under 30 minutes, the process came to an end. So as to speak, Saaka Abuba, who is from the Wungu area, has been elected as the Northeast regional representative of the Council of Elders. He pulled 7 out of the 12 votes. His closest contender also pulled about 5. And so he has been declared winner. The Electoral Commission has already declared him winner, and effectively that has brought the process to an end.
And what's the reaction of residents?
Well, I mean, because the incident happened so quick, not a number, it didn't give chance for a number of residents to witness. And in fact, because of the calm nature, the other time they voted, and these two persons had the same number. And so they postponed it on Thursday. On Thursday, it didn't happen. And ultimately today, it did happen, and Saaka Abuba has been elected. And so the residents, not many of the residents had the opportunity to witness this particular process.
But how about the opposing camps? Have they been reacting to this?
Really, everybody was very calm, according to our information, because of how transparent and how peaceful the process was. There hadn't been any, protest or any concern from any of the contenders.
Elias, stay with me. We're still in the northeast region because we know that residents of Wale Wale and environs are decrying a dusk to dawn curfew imposed on the area and its surrounding areas in the northeast region. It follows advice from the Northeast Regional Security Council. Now, this is part of measures to curb a recurring conflict in the area. There's also a total ban on the possession of arms, ammunition, and offensive weapons, and that has been declared in the area. Elias, just give me updates on this, and we want to just get a sense of what is happening with the ban on ammunition. So far, how are authorities going about ensuring they retrieve these ammunitions?
Well, first of all, there have not been any violence in Wale Wale. The violence, as we understand, what we are witnessing Wale Wale, as we understand, is the result of the spillover of what is happening in Boko. And so the Boko-Bolga-Kulmakum road has been very deadly, where buses that are traveling to and from even to Togo and Burkina Faso are ambushed by armed men. And anytime there is an ambush on that particular road, there is a retaliation on the Tamale Wale Wale Bolga road. And since the beginning of this year, there have been nearly 6 incidents that have occurred on these particular roads, and that have led to significant loss of life. Nearly over 10 people have been killed in this kind of attacks. And so the government decided to put a curfew in Wale Wale, where most of these attacks has been happening, or it has been happening in localities near Wale Wale. And so the government decided to impose curfew on Wale Wale, and that has also triggered a serious reaction from the residents. In fact, the residents had earlier said there's no violence in Wale Wale. The curfew is quite unjustifiable, and so they were not going to, abide by this particular curfew. The first day of the curfew, one person was killed after he was allegedly shot by police officers who had come to the chief palace to rescue the regional minister, who we understand was being manhandled by angry mob or people who were angered by the imposition of the curfew. Yesterday was the second day of the curfew. As we monitored, people were very calm. A large number of people went into their rooms at the time of the curfew, and so there was no incident reported. Even though people are very angry, people are fuming, they have decided to, for now, respect the law and abide by the curfew. And so yesterday we saw a significant compliance of the curfew that is happening in Wale Wale. People are very angry. They do not know what is happening. They continue to say that there's no violence in Wale Wale. So this curfew is highly unjustifiable. And they want authorities to come clear as to why they have imposed curfew on the Wale Wale town, which is more than 100 kilometers from Boko, where we have active violence ongoing.
Now, let's refresh the minds of our audience. What exactly led to the curfew?
Like I said, there has been ambushes on the Bolga-Boko-Polmakum road, and that has also triggered reaction on the Tamale-Bolga, Wale-Wale-Bolga highway. And as I said earlier on, several buses have been ambushed with several passengers. Some of them, according to the security forces, innocent people are killed on this particular road. And so to curb the attacks and the reprisals on this particular road, that is why the government decided to impose curfew.
Now, what's the current situation? What's the current situation on the Tamale-Wale-Bolga highway?
Well, there have been intensified security patrols. We've seen significant of soldiers and armed police that have been put on that particular road. And so for now, you see a lot of security forces on the road, and people, there's movement of vehicles on that road.
Last week, we reported military brutalities in the area. What's the relationship between civilians and security authorities?
Well, anytime there's an attack, the military responds. They first come, anybody that they see on site, you are brutalized. That happened 3 times in Wale Wale. In the first instance, the military authorities came out to apologize and said it was a mistake. But then when a vehicle was burned again in Wale Wale, the military stormed the town and beat up people. When another vehicle was burned around the Logre area, the people of Kukwa was also beaten by the security forces. So this has really affected the relationship between the security forces and the residents. It's making it difficult for them to collaborate to fight what is happening in that particular area. So it has really affected the civilian and the security relationship in that area.
Thank you, Elias Tanko, joining us live from the Northeast region. Now, I also have with me Dr. John Kingsley Kurugu. He is the 2024 NPP parliamentary candidate for Zebila. Thank you so much for your time. We're still looking at the security situation up north, and we're just wondering, in Zebila, what's the condition right now?
Thank you very much, and good morning to you and those listening to us. I think that for Zebila this morning, the situation is very calm, and then people are going about their business, and it's not, there's no cause for worry at this point. However, you know what has led to the imposition of a curfew in Wale Wale has a direct link in what happens in the Kusau traditional area, which Zebila is part, which is also under the rulership of the Bokunaba. So to that extent, the entire Kusau traditional area, as you do know, has not been very stable security-wise since 2022, and since the time that they brought in the rival person to be named as chief, who is in Boku at the moment. And that is the main reason what is happening. But let me sympathize with the people of Wale Wale, because this is the first time that as a result of this situation, they are coming under a curfew. What is rather interesting and surprising is the fact that for the first time, we see that the MP for Wale Wale, my good friend, Honorable Dr. Kabiru, has issued a statement because of the curfew. My good friend, Honorable Yusuf, the MP for Yagaba Kobore, has also issued a statement. And now we see the Mampugu Youth Association, Maya, issues a statement. All of these statements start by condemning the attacks on armed civilians who are plying the road. And I'm saying it's surprising because since this matter started, your reporter just talks about 6 attacks this year alone. But since 2021, there has been a constant attacks of buses plying the route, especially those going to the Kusau traditional areas. And none of these. In fact, Dr. Kabiru was an aide to the former vice president. And as you do know, even this conflict had an impact negatively on the outcome for the former vice president who was contesting to be president of Ghana. No statement came from his office, no statement came from Dr. Kabido. Honorable Yusuf was in parliament and he was a minister of state. No statement came. So for me, it is now very surprising that suddenly, because of the curfew in Wale Wale, all these people have now found their voices and see that something is going on that is wrong. And for me, that is a cause for worry, because as leaders of this country, the only country we have is Ghana. And the Asantes have a proverb that when an elder is sitting there in the house and watches children to do untoward things, when you are counting wrongdoers, you cannot leave the elder. So it is because of this silence from the leaders in Mamprugu to watch on, to allow an imposter to be brought to Boku as a chief, and they watch on. They say nothing. Attacks of buses happens on the road. They watch on. They say nothing. So as long as it is not affecting the people of Wale Wale, they are okay to watch on for buses to be attacked. And this is the first time that we see all of them now coming out to condemn those attacks that started since 2021.
Okay.
And that is the reason why all of us as leaders or seeking to be leaders ought to be mindful of the fact that the only country we have is Ghana, and that what is wrong is wrong. We cannot watch on. And you see, in all of these statements too, they have carefully avoided the main crux of the matter. The fact that the Nairi and skin an imposter chief and brought him to Boku, and he's sitting there as a chief.
Thank you so much, Dr. John Kingsley. We have to let you go at this point, but point well noted. When we return from this quick turn, we would have that conversation with the Ghana Education Service. We have the PRO in the studio with us this morning, so please stay tuned in. Staying with us here on Newsdesk. Well, the Ghana Education Service says it is working to ensure discipline in schools as it promises to deal with students found culpable of such acts. Well, the action follows reports that senior high school students at Accra Academy used a machete on juniors as punishment. Well, as a rift between students of Kimbu SHTS in Accra and Accra High School, as well as Kaneshi Senior High School and Accra Academy. Also between the Kumasi Technical Institute and the Anglican Senior High School across the streets in Kumasi. Well, joining me in the studio to touch on some of the key issues happening in the education sector is Cassandra Chum Ampofu. We have missed her. It's been a while. And she's in the studio with us today. She is head of PR for the Ghana Education Service. We finally smoked you out from there.
We thank God.
From the hidden chambers.
I tell you.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me, Faustina.
Thank you. You have a new director now.
Yes, I do.
The last time you had a director appointed, which is Eric Nkansa, there was a lot of issues in the educational sector, because I recall that there was even some of the civil servants withdrawing their services for 2 weeks. They were against his appointment. It appears that this time everywhere is quiet. Is he resonating with the people?
Absolutely. And let me first say a very good morning to your viewers, and many thanks for having me. Yes, I have a new Director General, Professor Kofi Davis, and he has been accepted by all. I mean, what can you say about this professor? Until his appointment, he was the provost of the College of Education of the University of Cape Coast. He is a renowned educationist, an expert in the curriculum. I mean, so everything has been smooth. We've started with a series of stakeholder engagements. We met the teacher unions last week. I mean, we really had a fruitful deliberation. They have offered promised their support, and it's been smooth, and we thank God.
Smooth, you say.
Yeah.
Let's look at updates on some of the key issues in the educational sector. I'll start with indiscipline. A case in point, the case at Accra Academy, where students was seen using a machete to discipline another student. What's the update on that case?
Well, let me say that it was quite worrying when we saw the video. Currently, it's with the police. They are handling it. But administratively, they have gone through the disciplinary process and they are on suspension, indefinite suspension. We are then waiting for the criminal aspect because it is not really allowed to be using that weapon in school. And so that is the current state of that particular situation.
The police is handling the criminal aspect.
Absolutely. But the students themselves are on suspension. And then we found out certain worrying situation. We realized that this issue of indiscipline in our schools is a collective responsibility. We have a role to play as Ghana Education Service. You know, at GES, we have a number of programs that we are running. We have our safe school policy ensuring that our schools are free from bullying, sexual harassment, and all of that. We have a code for the students. We also currently have the National Behavior Standard for Learners. We are done with this guideline. We have started training our officers. We have done 3 regions already, and we hope to move on to the other regions so that they get to know. Currently, we are also working on a national handbook for values, because our role as Ghana Education Service is to imbibe values and also modify behavior. That is within our confines, Faustina. And so when they get to their various homes, that is where you have the responsibility as a sister, as a mother, as a brother. In fact, the churches, the media, the community, we all have a role to play. What are we showing on our screens? You go on social media, on TikTok and everything, look at what is happening. So yes, we have a responsibility as GES, as educators, but we also have to know that beyond that, we also have a role to play. What we discovered when I investigated with these few cases, I mean, beyond Accra Academy and the other few cases that we've had, you realize that there's that lack of parenting in their various homes, you know. There are cases, for example, in Accra Academy, one of them would tell the mom that, oh, I'm going to see my dad, and will end up somewhere. And then at a point when he is with the dad, would also say, oh, I'm going to see my mom, because there's that broken home, and then they end up somewhere. One of them too, you realize that the mom also wakes up very early and gets to work. You cannot blame the parents as well, but in as much as we are going about our busy schedules, we also have to play our role as parents and monitor what they do. So
I
that
see you're highlighting the role parents have to
exactly
play, and that's key. But then I'm quite interested in this safe school policy and its implementation and how it will curb some of these issues, because this issue at Accra Academy is one that we have seen. It has come to the public light, but there are other issues going on in the schools that we don't get to hear of.
Exactly, and that is why we have our code for the code of the discipline for the students. Okay. You know, whatever you do, there are guidelines, the do's and the don'ts. And so if you do not conform to that, there are sanctions applied. We did not just go straight, for example, in Accra Academy, to give them that indefinite suspension. They had to go through the process. They were given that fair hearing, and then we ended. There are a number of sanctions. You can be dismissed. You can go on maybe 1 week internal suspension where you'll be asked to do some manual work and all of that. So there are processes within the schools. And then when they come to the school, we have our guidance and counseling unit who takes them through. In fact, if you enter as schools, we have the orientation programs that we take you through the code to know what you are supposed to do. But then, of course, once it's a human institution, you definitely will have some of the students doing. That's the reason why, of course, we have the guide. And so we have that also in place. With the National Behavior Standard I talked about, that is not sanction implied, but that modifies the behavior, the expected behavior of the students in the schools, what we want them to do. The values that we are currently working on is being developed by young people for young people. We are losing our values, the entire country. I mean, what are we seeing now? The respect, the integrity and all of that. We believe that we need to revive them. And so I talk about us and I talk about the role of our other stakeholders because it is a collective responsibility. We cannot do it alone. So whilst we are doing our part as educators, we expect the church, the media, the parents and everybody to also come on board so that holistically we can get, our students in right order. Yeah.
Let's talk about the counseling department in school and how effective it is. We just saw with the case of Accra Academy, the statement they put out that it was only after the video went viral that some of the students came out to talk about what they've been through. It means there's an element of fear in some of these cases and how it is dealt with. One that the counseling department could have detected if it was quite effective. How effective is the counseling department?
Our counseling departments are very effective. And so we keep telling them sometimes, yes, they do tell us you pick the feet from the students that the fear of going to see a counselor, or sometimes they feel that if I go and talk to Counselor A about what Senior B or Senior A is doing to me, the information might be leaked and then it would cause problems. And so they tend to stay away. But we keep encouraging them that the counseling unit is there for all, to protect them in the schools, to ensure that they are not abused. And so we'll keep telling them to make use of the counseling services. Yes.
Now, let's talk about another key issue in the educational sector, especially in the Greater Accra region. We just received information last week that the bank accounts of certain schools with the Bank of Ghana has been cleared. What exactly happened? What's the briefing you received?
My office is even part, the Ghana Education Service headquarters.
Oh, so your money has gone as well?
Yes, yes. We woke up and then realized that the monies have been swept off the account. We actually do not know what exactly, maybe they are working on their system or whatever, but the good news is that we have written, my Director General, Professor Kofi Davis, has written to the Controller and Accountant General just last Friday, requesting for refund of the monies. And so we hope that action will be taken this week.
So it wasn't the case that somebody withdrew the money?
No. I think it's the system, not that somebody withdrew. No, it's just the system that I'm sure they would handle that.
In the interim, how are you dealing with the situation of supplies to schools? Because some of the school heads actually need the money.
Exactly. So we hope that Controller, knowing the urgency of the situation, would help quickly put the monies back. Not the entire senior high schools in Greater Accra, about 13 of them, and we are addressing them. I know it will be solved.
Have they given you any timeline so far?
They haven't. We just sent the letter on Friday, and today is Monday, and so we are hoping that they take action. If not by close of day, maybe by midweek, we should hear some, because we are all affected. About 4 officers, including the Ghana Education Service headquarters, plus the 13 schools. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the revocation of appointments.
Yes.
We heard from certain ministries, based on the President's directive, that they will be revoking the appointments of individuals contracted by government from the 7th of December last year. Yeah. In the education sector, are we expecting revocations as well?
Yes. Yes, Faustina, yes. And I must say that from here, or by close of day, our letter will also come out, because we also have such appointments where we do not have them even on the payroll yet. And so once it's a national directive, we have seen letters from Health, Ghana Water, and what have you. So definitely, Ghana Education Service will follow suit.
How many people are we looking at letting go? Do you have a figure?
I do, but let me provide the accurate figure for you later.
Okay.
Yes, so I don't want to mess up the numbers.
Okay, so we'll be looking forward to that, and we'll give that to our audience as at when we have it. Just before we wrap up the conversation, another key thing that has come up in the educational sector is WAEC and their concerns about the debt accumulated. The Ministry of Education, they are supposed to work on it. What's the update on that?
Yes, I know they are engaging WAEC. And so at their level, I trust the ministry, and I trust our new Minister, Honorable Haruna Idris, an action man, of course. I trust that they will definitely resolve these debt issues. Yeah.
Any timelines based on what you are picking?
I cannot tell the timeline, but I know WAEC and the ministry are having that engagement. Yeah.
Let's talk about the concerns you raised just last week in a statement you put out about charging unapproved fees for students who want to write BC. What's the update on that? I know that you instructed the directors of education to monitor the schools to ensure that unapproved fees are not charged to students. What update have they been giving you?
Yes, so far the system is stable. The allegations that we received, I mean, the directors followed up. Some were true, some were untrue. But those that came out true, we have asked that they refund the money. And so let me use your platform then to also let all our stakeholders know that registration of BEC is absolutely free. There hasn't been any directive to the Ghana Education Service to charge. And so we asked and request humbly that our heads and then our educators know that it is free and it's illegal to charge. And so they should desist. Or if you have any intention of taking money, you do not have to, so that you put yourself into trouble. Yeah.
Let's zoom into the specifics. How many schools have you received those reports that indeed they were true, that they were charging the students?
Well, we received about 5, but 3 of them were in the private schools. You know, this is for the public schools.
Okay.
Yes, so for private schools are not under Ghana Education Service. NASIA controls them, the National Schools Inspectorate Authority.
Okay.
Yes, but the free registration of BEC only happens within the public service, public schools. Yeah.
Okay, so with the public schools, only 2 so far have reported.
Yes.
Okay, and their monies, you kind of show, has been refunded to them?
Yes, I know by close of day. I haven't followed up this morning, but I know that since we sent the release and the directors followed up, I'm sure they have even refunded
The
by
schools,
now.
are they in the Greater Accra region?
Oh, not at all.
Okay. Do you want to give
One
me
in
specifics?
Ashanti, one in Western North of a sort.
Do you want to give me specifics? Your name?
Not yet.
Okay, I understand you
Yeah.
want to keep that under lock, but just for education purposes. Now, as we wrap up the conversation, you've been in the system for quite a long time, and you have been under different directors. How have you been able to manage the atmosphere politically?
Yes, it's all about professionalism. Besides being a public servant, I'm also a professional public relations practitioner, an accredited one, of course. And so with our job, it's about aligning with the vision of your new boss. So you don't have any political affiliation, but whoever comes, you make sure that you support the vision so that together we'll all achieve. And so that has been my style over these years, right from Ashanti, moving from one political to the other and all of that. So it's been professional and upholding the public service job.
So we're looking forward to having more of you in the studio each time we reach out to you.
Of course.
You were silent for a while, but I'm glad you're back.
I'm back.
And you're speaking to us. Well, just updates to some of the key things happening in the education sector there. Telling us what they plan to do to deal with some of the issues that have come up in the educational sector. We're looking forward to how best they live up to their promises. Well, you're still watching NewsDesk. When we return, business updates is up next. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back to Business here on NewsDesk. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. The Executive Director of the Ghana Gold Expo Foundation, Dr. Stephen Aka, has made an appeal to the government to reduce taxes within the extractive sector. According to him, this will help players within the sector to expand and create more job opportunities for the youth. He spoke to Joy Business with James Eshon.
We have 100 machines were displayed. We are happy because something that we've been advocating. By the miner in the Western region, in Takwa, in the Nyanase, the machine get to him, and if the machine go to him, did he use mercury or he did not use mercury? So I hope you understand the issue.
Let me come in once again. There have been concerns within this particular, the extractive sector, that taxing the extractive sector, is less.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Quick, we are running out of time. Quick.
Well,
Should it be increased, or there should be the need for us to reduce taxation within the extractive sector?
we need to reduce it. It needs to be reduced.
And wouldn't that impact?
No. Gold is the rare currency. The only thing that hold fluctuation of currency, we have different type of currency. We have the M1, M2, M3. Gold is the only thing that can hold or that can back the economy. So why do you even want to add tactics to it.
The country needs money.
No. Why? BOG says they want to hold the FX so that there's not too much fluctuation of dollar in Ghana. So once BOG is holding the FX, they don't even care too much about how much they want to buy the gold, because the biggest headache is changing the cedi to dollar to even go import refined product and other commodities. So now, if I'm a miner, you've given me machines and I'm selling gold to you, why are you taxing me? Because I'm bringing you the actual currency. The actual currency is gold. If I'm exporting the gold, and if you look at it, you see that most of the gold that PMMC exported, they didn't pay tax on it. I don't know if you're aware.
Yeah, I'm aware.
You don't need to, they didn't pay tax because they are holding the real currency. Are you getting it? So the 1.5 that currently the exporters are paying, I think we still need to revisit it. Why? Because if the indigenous people are giving you back the gold, it means they are increasing production.
Now, moving away from that, the Bank of Ghana is calling for a specialized financial journalism to ensure accurate reporting on monetary policies and economic issues. At a media training workshop organized in Ho, the central bank emphasized the need for journalists to develop a deeper understanding of financial matters to prevent misinterpretation. Ivy Setopji has more in this report.
The two-day workshop organized by the Bank of Ghana brought together selected journalists from the Volta region to enhance their knowledge of financial reporting. Experts from the central bank took participants through key topics, including microeconomic indicators, monetary policy, and inflation. Bernard Otabil is the communications director at the Bank of Ghana.
A journalist is only as good as he or she's understanding of the subject that he or she is reporting on. So we are here to provide you the training on what we do as a central bank, the key elements in the work that we do, and most especially the monetary policy reports that we do every other month. Now, we've had situations where reports have been inaccurately, carried out there, and you can only just, understand sometimes from the perspective of the person writing that particular report, if the person is not really, well versed in, because in economics and financial and business issues, we don't normally speak, react, or work in that particular way. So it's always important for you to provide the necessary training.
Mr. Otabil explained that inflation erodes savings and weakens purchasing power, likening it to an armed robber that must be controlled through sound monetary policies.
I did, allude to the fact that inflation is an armed robber, because what does it do? It robs you of your savings. It takes money out of your pocket, even if you don't realize it. And what does that really mean? If prices of goods and services keep going up every day, what it means is it makes it very difficult for you to plan. Assuming you have 10 cities which could buy you 2 tins of milk today, and the next day the price of a tin of milk goes up to 6 cities. Nothing has changed, when it comes to your income. So you might think that your income remains the same though, but you can no longer afford the 2 tins of milk that you used to buy in the past.
Journalists are expected to gain deeper insights into economic trends and their implications for the country's financial stability. With the increasing complexity of economic issues, the central bank is urging journalists to take personal initiatives in financial literacy to enhance accuracy and reporting. Ivy Satoji, JoyNews.
That's all for business here on JoyNews Dex. My name is Winston Takinales. For more news, visit myjoyonline.com. The new CIMG President target membership increase as part of Agenda 5x5 initiative. So he intends to do a lot to bring the institution back into the limelight. The price of fuel diesel to go down according by LPG also remain unchanged according to the Institute of Energy Security. So firstly, it's actually good to have you back.
It's great to be back. I've missed you and I've missed our audience as well. But that's how we wrap up the bulletin, really. For more news, you know where to go to. Go to myjoyonline.com. for all the news updates. My name is Faustina Safo. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our program.